The June 24th, 2025 special session of the Clarksville City Council is now called to order. Pastor Catherine Minor Walker of New Jerusalem Fivefold Ministries will serve as our chaplain of the day. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Smith. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to stand if you wish, and Pastor Walker.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you tonight. God, we thank you for another opportunity to be on this side, and that gives us even more opportunity. And God, right now, before we ask you for anything, we want to take the opportunity to thank you for everything, because we recognize that every good and perfect gift comes from you. So, God, we just say thank you this evening. And, God, right now, we ask that you would be with us during all of this right now in the name of Jesus, this meeting tonight. And, God, we ask that you would be at the helm of this meeting right now in the name of Jesus. Guard our hearts and guard our minds and keep a watch over our mouth, that everything that's said will be done decent and in order right now, in the name of Jesus, God. And God, we thank you right now for the resources that you've given the city of Clarksville right now. And God, help us to be good stewards as we disperse these resources, God, in the name of Jesus. Let it be done for your glory right now and not our own. God, we decrease and ask you to increase tonight right now so we can continue to serve the city of Clarksville in the way that in the manner in which you have seen fit for us to do right now. And God, we just thank you right now. And God, we ask right now that you would continue to bless the United States of America. And at the same time, we want to bless your name with the highest praise. And that is hallelujah. We say thank you, God, right now for everything that's getting ready to take place. We believe it. We receive it. In the book of Mark, you said we could have it. In Jesus' great big name, we ask it all. And everybody said, amen.
Let us recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members, please register your attendance. Madam Clerk, can you get the screens up on the wall working?
All members are present with the exception of Councilman Chandler.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First item on our agenda is the second reading of various budget ordinances. First one is item A, Ordinance 91, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the operating capital budgets for fiscal year 2024-25 and adopting the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2025-26 for CDE Lightband. I will entertain a motion and a second.
Motion.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Ordinance 91. Any comment or question regarding Ordinance 91? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 91 is adopted. Now ready for item B, Ordinance 92, 2024-25. An ordinance amending the 2024-25 budget and approving the 2025-26 annual action plan and budget and authorizing applications for community development block grant and home investment partnership funds as well as other programs. I will entertain a motion and a second. Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Ordinance 92. Any comment or question from council regarding Ordinance 92? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 92 is adopted. Now ready for item C, Ordinance 93, 2024-25. An ordinance amending the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2024-25 and adopting the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 25-26 for the Clarksville Gas and Water Department. I will entertain a motion and a second.
Motion to accept.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of Ordinance 93. Any comment or question from council regarding Ordinance 93? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 93 is adopted. We're now ready for item D, Ordinance 94, 2024-25. an ordinance amending the fiscal year 24-25 budget and adopting the operating budget for fiscal year 2025-26 for the internal service funds. I'll entertain a motion and a second.
To accept ordinance 94.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 94. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 94? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 94 is adopted. Now ready for item E, ordinance 95, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2024-25 budget and establishing the operating budget for fiscal year 2025-26 for the Clarksville Parking Commission, a proprietary fund. I will entertain a motion in a second.
To accept 95.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 95. Any comment or question from council regarding ordinance 95? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 95 is adopted. Now ready for item F. Ordinance 96, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2024-25 and adopting the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 25-26 for the Clarksville Transit System. I will entertain a motion and a second.
Motion to accept.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 96. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 96? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 96 is adopted. We're now ready for new business. Ordinance 103, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2024-25 and adopting the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 25-26 for the governmental funds for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026. I will entertain a motion and a second. Motion been made and properly seconded. Members, based on the outcome of last week's meeting and the vote of the initial budget proposal, I've submitted to you the fiscal year 2026 budget proposal 2.0, if you will. That is no property tax increase proposed. To achieve that, we've eliminated all new hires for every department including the vehicles and equipment that are associated with these new hires. Our CFO provided a spreadsheet to you so you can see exactly what was eliminated. We also kept in most of the budget amendments adopted from last week. We did retain the 2.5% general wage increase, and the capital projects were also kept intact. You know, I tried to think of an illustration that best describes this new proposal, and the only one I could really come up with is like paddling a canoe with a wooden spoon. Our growth and the external forces that drove our first budget proposal dictated an increase in property tax rates just to keep up. We have to have an approved budget. We can't serve citizens adequately or operate this city on a continuing resolution like Washington does and doesn't do very well. We also recognize there's a new state law regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we will follow the law as prescribed. We do have an accessibility enhancements initiative to make our facilities meet or exceed the standards set by the Americans with Disabilities Act. We also have a task force within our Parks and Rec Department that meets to plan programs for our citizens with developmental disabilities, and we're very proud of that. We also have programs for the senior games and programs for our Spanish and Korean speaking citizens. We are following and will follow the letter of the law as we understand it. Thank you for considering this budget, and I look forward to its passage. Councilmember Streetman, I think you have an amendment. I'm going to start from the left this time and go work our way around. So you are recognized.
Thank you, sir. Everybody should see the amendment that has been brought forward by myself to add 16 new hires with outfitting and vehicles and increase the transfer to the debt service fund. I want to go over this each individually, but before I start, I would ask for a motion. I'm going to make a motion for approval and ask for a second.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of this amendment. You're recognized.
Thank you. As you'll see, I very much appreciate the budget that was brought to us that does not include a property tax rate increase, but as was stated, it did remove all of our new hires from the list of employees that we would be bringing on. So I did reach out to some of the various departments. You'll see the lists here, and talk to them about some of the new hires that have been cut. So what I'm asking for is for us to be able to bring back three building and codes employees, which is a code enforcement officer, an admin support tech, and a grounds facility crew chief. The code enforcement officer is exceptionally important when you think about the fact that it wasn't so long ago that we voted in favor of the design overlay for Martin Luther King Boulevard. Today, in the Regional Planning Commission, we had 2 more design overlays that had been requested from the council to be able to bring them back to us. That was given a recommendation of approval and will be coming before us. And as was mentioned previously in our first discussion with the first reading, that one of the most frequent calls we all get has to do with the need for code enforcement. So there's also a vehicle on there, just one vehicle on there, and that is for that code enforcement officer to be able to get out into the community and to be able to do that job. Also included is 3 firefighters and a materials management supervisor. The materials management supervisor is because of the fact that all of the assets, which is well over $1 million in assets, the supplies, everything for the fire department is now being housed in one place. And that's why the forklift is also on there, is for both of those needs, is to be able to maintain those supplies as well as be able to move them as necessary. The garage is in need of an equipment maintenance technician. They have not added a new position to the garage since the fiscal year of 2018. Obviously, our fleet has grown considerably since then, and while he does a great job managing with what he has, he is in need of that additional position, and that is a very, very, very entry-level position in that he works with interns to be able to kind of bring them on. I don't know if I used the right word. I did. He works with interns to kind of be able to bring them on as a true position. For Parks and Recreation, we have 3 grounds and facilities maintenance assistants, as well as the assistant golf course superintendent. The reason for the assistant golf course superintendent is in order to be able to take care of the Mason Rudolph Golf Course project. That amount is calculated based on that employee starting around October. With that project getting ready to get started and get going, that is something that's going to be necessary for the Parks Department to be able to have. And in regard to the grounds and facilities maintenance assistants, the 3 of those, I know last year was one of the years that Parks and Recreation also did not get any new employees. They are in need of these to not only maintain what we have, or especially to maintain what we have, but as we continue to gain more park ground, that's also going to be something that's going to further kind of strain her department and her needs for having those. And then there's 2 Ford Mavericks associated with that. For the police department, there is 4 cadets, as well as the 4 2025 Ford Explorers, including upfit associated and the vehicle registration and the AIM units that go along with those. That is, as we've heard, our police department, and even going back to our fire department, this kind of lines up with both of them. Both of them have strategically worked year after year to add to their force in order to try and get to a goal number that they're looking for. The goal for fire department is to get to a specific number on the trucks. The police department is to get to a specific ratio with the general public. Obviously, we do continue to grow, but again, they have been strategically adding to those departments year after year. And if we stay the course with the number we have, they're actually going to fall behind from all of their gains. So I would ask, also, we have on here, there is a transfer to debt service of $1.15 million, and that's because this is going to, currently the general fund is transferring $10 million. This will, to cover the $15 million in debt service, I'm asking to increase that by $1.5 million, and that offset is to reduce the transfer from the capital funds project fund. The capital projects fund. I apologize, folks. And that gets us to a 92% tax rate to be able to cover those. So that is a 4-cent increase from what we are looking at the moment. But I would ask that you support these. These are all departments that are in need of these employees.
Okay, you've heard the explanation. Councilman McLaughlin, you are recognized.
To the sponsor, can you explain the capital project? I didn't understand the statement about where where that savings was.
Currently, it's, like I said, currently it's underneath the capital project, so we're actually transferring that to the debt service, actually transferring it from the general fund instead of coming out of capital projects. If you,
Okay,
okay.
thank you.
And they are both listed on there.
Councilman Peters, you're recognized.
I just want to say that I'm glad to see this. Our fire and our police, we definitely need to, so I support this amendment. We definitely need this when we voted down all the new hires. We're a growing city. We need the additional fire and police. So I'm going to support this, and I hope that everyone else supports this too. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Any other comment or question regarding this amendment? Councilman Marquis, you're recognized.
All right, thank you. I'm trying to figure out how this would work in my head. Just because I also had a similar amendment to try to get some hires put in. I do like that we are distributing hires across the city, and especially with some that need vehicles to perform their job. Mine specifically dealt with public safety because they also need hires. So again, I'm just trying to figure out how it would work because I would like to get the hires in place. I don't want to increase it much more with the property tax rate. I don't know if you've taken a chance to look at mine, but I would be willing to amend my hires to yours. I don't know, is this allowed to discuss like with?
Well, you can make an amendment to her amendment,
Yes,
but we'd need it in writing.
that's fine.
Okay.
I just, again, because I'm just trying to hammer out details.
Okay.
So,
Do you have a particular question? Maybe she can start there.
so with mine, it would take, mine would have $1 million. That could go to all of these departments for hires. And from what I understand, it looks like it would be 150,000 left over. That's fine with me. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to, it's just difficult to figure this out on the spot. Because I don't know if I should just put it in as an amendment as is, but I feel like I would have to amend mine first. I don't know.
You certainly can come back at second reading, or we could come to you and we could move around the horseshoe here.
Yes, if
Give
you
you
come
time
back
to
to
think
me, let
about it.
me try to figure out this math.
Okay. All right, Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
To the sponsor, I forgot to ask how much 4 cents of a tax increase would be in a monthly payment to the taxpayers.
I would normally know that answer, and I don't have it for you, but if you give me 1 second, I bet I know somebody that can give it to us
Okay,
quickly.
thank you.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Came from one meeting to the next, and
All right, we'll give them time to calculate that. Not getting off that easy.
Trying very
Ms.
hard to
Wilcox,
avoid
you're
that.
recognized.
Thank you. For the average homeowner, that would be about $2.20 per month.
On an average home of value, 280,000, 300,000.
300,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comment or question regarding this amendment? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Councilman Markey, I said I'd come back to you. Do you want to vote and then come back to your amendment? Okay, question from Mr. Bittner. What's your question?
So if I, let's say, if I amend my amendment and I present it as I've amended it and it fails, can I present my amendment not amended, if that makes sense?
As long as it's in writing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so then, so my amendment currently, before I make a motion, I guess, is that, it's similar to last week's, but I did take out the station, fire station and the, precinct 4 because I understand that we have a depth capacity and we don't want to, take too much of that. So with my current amendment, it's just the $1 million for the engine out of the $7 million allocated for Frosty Morn. So we would put that into a capital project, freeing up $1 million. And then that $1 million we could use for the new hires. Is, instead of raising the tax rate, we could use that they would have otherwise used to purchase the engine, use that for the hires.
Well, we'll need the revenue as recurring in order to fund those new hires year to year.
Yes, but I'm talking about the current engine that is in the department. Yes. Yes. So if we're taking that engine and putting it into a capital project, then that $1 million that's in that department, we could allocate to the other departments for hires.
Okay.
Is the idea currently.
Probably want
So-
to do a new amendment versus trying to revise this one. It's your call because it's your amendment, but I think to keep it neater and cleaner.
Um, okay, I'll get with, I guess, Mr. Bittner on how to do that to make it cleaner.
I think if you'll get
Or
with Ms. Wilcox.
Wilcox.
Yeah, okay. All right. Any other comment or question regarding this amendment? We're voting on the Streetman Amendment number 1. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
8 yes, 4 no, 0 abstain.
The amendment is adopted. We are going to go around the horseshoe here and back to you, Councilman Markey. Sorry.
I know, it's kind of conflicting because my amendment actually dealt with closing the project, but I need to get this math sorted out before I can,
Do you mean I
Attempt
can
that.
move on to the next member and then come back to you?
can I talk to Ms.
You sure can,
Wilcox? All right,
but,
yes, please.
okay. Councilman Lovato, you're recognized before I go to the next amendment.
Thank you. I was gonna ask a question to the sponsor, but I'll wait till she's back in her microphone.
Give it a second. Okay, we have the amendment before us. Councilman Marquis, you're recognized on your amendment.
Okay, so this is what we figured out. So we're going to pretty much keep the same math as the previous speaker or in her amendment. It wasn't just a hair short. So we took off like $20 from like buildings and codes, and then with parks, instead of 4 hires, they get 3. Unfortunately, it's just, again, we're just a hair short here with the $1 million. And then, as I was trying to explain earlier, with Frosty Morn, out of that 7 million in there, 1 million will go to purchase the fire engine, which allows for the 1 million that's in that current department to be utilized to pay for the new hires and the vehicles that we need, which will also kind of help with the tax rate a little bit there as well. So I'd like to make a motion for my amendment.
Motion been made and properly seconded. Anything else before we go to questions? Councilman Marquis, I'm sorry.
No, it's
Okay.
just, again, kind of on the spot math here, so.
Okay.
we're good.
All right, that's the way we do things. Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Okay, so the sponsor made a comment about tax rate, so if this passes, how much would the 4 cents that just passed go down by?
Well, a penny and a half is the 1 million.
Okay,
So we should be like at 90.5.
You have to round up,
Yeah, well, 91.
so it'll be at 91.
okay, thank you.
Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
That's what I was gonna ask, was what the tax rate would be.
All right.
Now, I do have another question.
Sure, you're recognized.
So this $1 million, is this currently in capital projects? So are we paying for new positions out of capital project money?
No. We're paying the fire engine. We're putting the fire engine that's in the current department into a capital project, so that way the money that that department would have utilized to purchase the fire engine is what we'll do for the hires.
So we're gonna finance a fire truck for how long?
I'm not sure what the time frame is.
Whatever the debt would be, could be anywhere from 20 to 30 years, depending on what the bond market's like when we
So-
get there.
You know, my question would be is how long is this fire truck gonna last? And, you know, we're gonna be paying for this fire truck for 20, 30 years, and, you know, fire trucks usually last quite a while, I would say. Can we ask Chief Montgomery what an estimated lifespan of the fire truck would be?
We'd be glad to. They take so blessed long to get them. Takes 3
It does.
to 4 years to get them. But Chief Montgomery, if you don't mind, give us some expertise on the life of a fire truck.
Yes, sir. Good evening. We try to stick to the NFPA standard of 20 years. So it's 15 years frontline and 5 years in reserve.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Brown.
That's-
Okay. All right. Any other comment or question regarding this amendment? Okay, you are recognized, Councilman Markey.
I'm sorry, real quick, I didn't remember if I mentioned, but at the end of this will close down the Frosting One project.
And we're
also.
doing two things.
Yep.
We're eliminating the Frosty Morn Capital Project, and we're transferring the fire truck out of cash. Okay, all right. Any other comment or question? Seeing none, are you ready to vote on the Marquee Amendment number 2, Madam Clerk? All right, every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
4 yes, 8 no, 0 abstain.
Amendment number 2 fails. Councilman Marquis, I think you had another amendment. You're recognized.
Just the one and done, let's just close the project, get rid of this thing. That's it. Make a motion for it.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of the Marquis amendment. We'll call this Amendment 3, Madam Clerk, okay? Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
I'd like to amend the amendment with my amendment, which it also closes the capital project, but also have us market the property for privately built and managed true affordable income-based housing for seniors.
Motion been made to amend the Marquis Amendment number 3, properly seconded. Would you mind saying that one more time?
Okay, everyone should have a copy of it. It's the only McLaughlin amendment tonight. It would close the Frosty Morn project, which she has already done in her motion, and then we would market the property for privately built and managed true affordable income-based housing for seniors.
Okay, you've heard the explanation. Comment or question regarding this explanation of this amendment to the amendment? Councilman Haywood, you're recognized.
I just want to make sure this would get the city clear and done from it, right?
Yes, keywords privately.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, any other comment or question regarding this amendment to the amendment? Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say that I know she says she want to close the Frosty Morn project down. I think that is a terrible thing to do, a poor decision to make after all of the money that we've spent from this city's budget to clean up that place, to restore it, and said that they want to put apartments there. But through the process of learning more about Frosty Morning, working on this project for probably 10 years, I found that you cannot put apartments there due to the fact that there is a foundry next to it. You cannot put apartments in that area. And that came from the head people who did the inspection. You cannot put apartments there because of the foundry there, the pollution, and so that would not be a good idea. We have spent more money on getting a brownfield cleanup of that place. It has been sitting there for 40 years, and I know that we have put money in this project for a reason. They're putting a roof on that project as we speak. And I don't think it's a waste of money. I think that we're making a poor decision to do what we're doing. That's a lot of money that has been spent to restore and renovate this place for probably something like an event center or something. And the mayor has already spoken about what was going to go in there. We've had films done. We've had meetings with the community. And it was a diverse community, not a black community. This project will be used for all people. I just think it's a waste of our dollars, tax dollars, to shut down the project of Frosty Morning. I think it's a very poor decision for us to make as city councilors to say, oh, let's just shut it down. Why? Why? I don't understand. You can't put apartments over there by law because of the foundry sitting there. It cannot go. So I think the best decision we have made and voted on as a council before the new ones got here was to go ahead and reestablish this place. Go ahead and make it something that can be used. And thank you, Mayor.
Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. To clarify things, I believe that we voted on a planned unit development for the Vulcan property, which is also adjacent to the foundry, and part of that was apartments and R5 housing within that. So if it's allowed on the Vulcan property, wouldn't it not be allowed across the street on the Frosty Morn property? So I don't believe that statement's accurate. Right now, the estimated total of this project is about $52 million. Yes, we've spent money on it now, but, we have around the clock security that we're paying about $300,000 a year to watch the property. It's a maintenance issue for our department, our building maintenance department, to go over there and cut the grass and make sure that it's up to par. And with the housing crisis that we have, and as our generations of seniors get older and their income falls, I feel like it would be proper for us to provide a mechanism for somebody that deals in HUD and community development block grant built apartments or residential housing, use that property that's already on a bus line to serve that community. Thank you.
Councilman Brown, you're recognized on the amendment to the amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. So my question on this I believe, like the previous speaker said, there's $250,000, $300,000 in our budget, city budget for the security out there. If this project is, terminated, will that fund, go back into the general fund, or what will occur with that money?
Well, that money goes away in terms of, as a capital project. So any further improvements on the building and anything associated with the building goes away.
Right.
So, and we've been funding that out of debt,
The construction.
the renovations, yes.
Right. So I'm talking about the security
Security.
that we have sitting out there, 24/7, that line item would go away from the budget, and we'd have to figure out where that money would need to
It
return.
would go back into the general fund.
Right.
No, because it's debt. It's debt as a part, so
Okay.
we wouldn't borrow that money.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the amendment. I appreciated it last time. However, I'd still like to see us give it just one more year to be able to look at it. I mean, I respect you bringing it forward both last week and this week. It's not that I don't, but I still would like to see us do something with it. And I'd really like to see us keep this for another year, and something over the next year actually come forward for us to have a plan for exactly what we want to do with it. And I know we've already talked about that neighborhood and community services would move over into there, which would put them right in an area where there are people in need of their services could easily get to it. I know, again, was mentioned the potential of a medical clinic going there. I think there's some great ideas that have been talked about to go there. Like I said, I would like to see it just one more year, see if there is a way that we can get this to be exactly what it needs to be the benefit to our city.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized on the amendment to the amendment.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Let me say this. Me being out in this community, working with many senior citizens and helping senior citizens for almost 50-something years, I found out that they do not want apartments. Even when the mayor was campaigning, I'll never forget this. We went to a senior citizen house and she said, "Mayor, I would like for you to build more assisted living places. Don't want no apartment. I want to get rid of my house because I don't want to take care of the upkeep." She says, "I'm getting too old." And so in my work with the senior citizens, they're not trying to rent apartments. They're trying to get in assisted living places that would help them to live better based on their income. Also, what I said was true about, even though she mentioned that Vulcans would be establishing apartments over there. That's a dead deal. Nobody is going to do that over there because nothing has even started for certain reasons. And I was told that by a higher up person that they will not be building over there on Vulcan's lot under some circumstances. Anyway, Vulcan's is further away from the foundry. Even though the foundry puts out a lot of pollution and smoke in that community,
Councilman Smith, let's
it
don't get too
doesn't-
far down that road, please.
well, I'm telling the truth, I'm not gonna lie. So, it does put out a lot of pollution, as I said. And so, I'm going to say this, there's pollution everywhere, but we get the most pollution in our neighborhood. I live right around the corner from where, the council member works at the foundry. So, let me say this. I think we're making a big mistake by taking the money out of this. If we're gonna fix the rocks, that we're getting a lot of money out of that, we're getting in debt for other things, while we can't get in debt for something in a neighborhood as such. What's the difference? What's the difference? Why? Why is it a problem if we're gonna get in debt for something that we started and money we have already spent? Why is such a problem to get in debt for something in this low-income area? We're gonna get in debt for the golf course, and that was just brought up last year. But, oh, we working on that real quick. Oh, we give money to that real quick. But these people in my neighborhood been crying out for that to be something instead of a place where the homeless stay or just anything. That building's been sitting there for 40 years and nothing has been done. And so why is it a problem when it's in a black neighborhood? Why? I don't understand. Maybe I'm missing something. But when we go in the other neighborhoods, it's not a problem. You know, we get on that quick. It's quick. In a hurry. You can hear a few people crying out, oh, we gonna get that taken care of. But over here, we've been waiting 20 or 30 years to get something done. And it's sad. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Are you ready to vote? We're voting on the amendment to the amendment. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
8 yes, 4 no, 0 abstain.
So the marquee amendment to the McLaughlin amendment is adopted. We're now on the amendment,
No, that's McLaughlin's, that's
Okay.
McLaughlin.
what they said. All right. The McLaughlin amendment to the marquee. Got it. Okay. All right, we're now on the McLaughlin amendment as amended. Marquee amendment. Been a long day. Okay. You know what we're voting on. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, we will vote on the amendment as amended. How's that?
What amendment is that? Would you make it clear, Mayor?
We're voting on the McLaughlin amendment to the marquee amendment, or the marquee amendment as amended, which is to eliminate the Frosty Morn capital project and market the property for privately built and managed true affordable income-based housing for senior citizens. I get it right? Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, we're now voting on the amendment as amended. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
7 yes, 5 no, 0
The
abstain.
amendment is adopted. We're now, any other amendments, Councilman McLaughlin?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized on your amendment?
Thank you, Mayor. My amendment is obsolete.
Okay, all right. Any other amendments for this ordinance? Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
I feel like we're getting close to the question, so I just want to make the statement that my husband's a city employee, that I will be voting on the city general budget and what my constituents want, not based on the personal needs of my family. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I too feel like we're getting close to the question and just want to remind everybody, today is June 24th. We do have to have a budget in place prior to June 30th, or it limits our ability to be able to make payments in excess of $5,000. It can create issues with contracts that we do have in place. We are down to a limited amount of time, and we still have to have a second reading on Ordinance 103, 2024. 2024-25. So I would ask you to please keep that in mind when you are voting for this ordinance. Thank you.
Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Much like my colleague to the left, I have a family member who is an employee of the city, and I too am making my vote by what I believe is best for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? We're now voting on ordinance 103. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? All right. Any member wish to change their vote? All right, ordinance 103 fails. We're now on resolution 67. Resolution requesting the Tennessee Health Facilities Commission to approve the certificate of need applications of TriStar Health System and Ascension St. Thomas and issue each entity a certificate of need permit for the establishment of a full-service healthcare facility in Clarksville, Montgomery County, Tennessee. Councilman Zacharias, you're the sponsor. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of resolution 67. Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized for an explanation.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution does exactly what the title would indicate, and to everybody that's been involved in sending and receiving emails and making changes, thank you. I would love to talk with you after the meeting and explain the source of the confusion, but we are going with the original, unamended resolution, which is just a sense of the council resolution. We are showing our support for the two applications to establish full-service hospitals here in Clarksville.
All right, Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I wholeheartedly support this and very much appreciate you bringing it forward. I had the same intentions, but I was a day late and a dollar short, so I thank you for doing it. I think it is something that we greatly need for our community to add to more hospitals. So thank you for doing this, and I would ask the council to support this so that we can have a couple of more great facilities to be able to service our members in our community. Thank you.
Any more comment or question regarding resolution 67? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 67 is adopted. We're now ready for item C, resolution 68, 2024-25, a resolution requesting the City General and City Enterprise Fund departments convert non-specialty grounds, lawn care, and maintenance positions to outside contract positions through attrition. Councilman McLaughlin, you're the sponsor. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So I spoke to this last week, and the core language would be that the city should look at implementing a strategy to reduce expenses through planned workforce attrition. The City of Clarksville strategy should analyze non-specialty grounds, lawn care, and maintenance positions as they become vacant due to employee departures, including retirements, resignations, and other voluntary separations. Non-specialty grounds, lawn care, and maintenance vacant positions shall be evaluated to determine if they are essential to current and future business needs and if they can be restructured or converted to outside contract positions to achieve savings. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of resolution 68. Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, I just want to say that entering into contracts for work that's normally done by our city employees is not a cost-saving measure. I think we've seen this. We've even talked about it this evening. $300,000 to contract security for Frosty Morn. Contracting work is good when it's specialty work that we don't have somebody qualified to do. But for jobs and tasks that are within the scope of the job descriptions of the people that we've hired or will continue to hire, that is the most cost-effective way to do that work. I think Mr. Bittner might also agree. When we contract out legal work, is that any cheaper than doing it in-house? I don't think it is. And I see this as committing us to spending more for services that we are already doing here in the city. I think our Parks and Rec department is probably going to be the one that's affected most by this. Mayor, if you're not opposed to it, I think it would be appropriate to hear from Ms. Letourneau.
What's the question? If you'll ask the question, then
Oh, I'm
we'll.
sorry. How this this ordinance would affect Parks and Rec going forward in terms of our ability to perform the work that they do.
Okay, without objection, Ms. Letourneau? Again, Councilman Zacharias, if you would ask the question, please.
Thank you, Ms. Letourneau. My question is just if you would be willing to share a little bit of the impacts that something like this would have on your department's ability to serve the people in Clarksville.
Yes, sir. Our folks don't just do one thing. We don't just do mowing and weed eating. We do so many other things. They're not necessarily specialties. They're not plumbers, electricians, or anything like that. But they do have skills that are needed immediately. We can't just call the contractor and say, hey, we need to get this sign taken care of tomorrow because it's a safety issue, or a playground taken care of, mulch put underneath the equipment because it's too thin and it's going to have somebody that's going to get hurt. So I think having people be able on staff and being able to respond in a timely manner is crucial for a lot of these issues. The other thing I looked at when I saw this resolution, I looked through our current mowing contract, and one of our mowing contracts is $53,000 a year. The average time to complete one of those cuts is 48 hours, and we're limited to 21 cuts per season through that contract. And that gets us from April to October. And that comes up to, according to our contractor, it comes up to about 1,008 man-hours for 6 months, or 52.57 in a year. The average grounds and facility maintenance position is funded with salary and benefits at $70,000 a year for 2,080 hours. So that's 12 months per year, or $33.67 or 65 cents a year. And you're getting the benefit of the employees coming in on a Saturday morning and putting up the tents for the market and getting that run at 5 a.m. Putting together an event at 5 p.m. on a Saturday, and I don't think you're going to find a contractor that does that. Another point being is that if we have to get a contractor, they're going to have to go out and buy all the equipment that we currently use to be able to pull off our events and to do the street department event in sandbags. Sorry, I'm getting fleshy there. But they won't have the equipment that it takes to do the things that we do on a regular basis throughout the year, not just mowing and weed eating. So while we do have a couple of contracts, it's still not cost effective. We just don't have enough people on staff currently to be able to do that. I've got a current work order list that's 13 pages long, and none of it is mowing and weed eating, and we get to it as we can. So.
Councilman Zacharias, you have the floor.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman Marquis, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you. So I reached out to a couple of landscapers out in the area, and when I told them what starting pay is for a position like this, kind of laughed at me and said it was chump change and that they would have to charge more. So I don't think that, unfortunately, it would help us save in this area. I think that there are jobs that we could save in, but it seems like this isn't one of them, unfortunately. Thank you.
Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized on your resolution.
Yeah, so the key language is that the positions would be evaluated to determine if they're essential to current and future business needs. So it doesn't say that they automatically have to be eliminated. I'm just, obviously, we didn't pass a budget yet, and there are spending concerns, and I was just trying to look to see where we could reduce expenses that are recurring. By looking at what we could possibly move to contract would also save us on equipment replacement and the city garage from constantly having to repair mowers. We have a zero turn in the budget for $9,000. I mean, if somebody else had that equipment, was able to maintain it, that would be less on us. So I'm not just looking at the potential savings on personnel, but the equipment and maintenance costs as well. So trying to think out of the box. It doesn't say that we have to eliminate positions. It just asks that they be evaluated through attrition to see if there's something we can do to convert those to non-city employees. If you look at our expenses, more than a majority of our expenses are personnel. So just a thought.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized on the resolution.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with what Ms. Letourneau said, and I'm looking at it from this perspective that the employees, they go beyond the call of duties. We can call on them anytime. If there's an emergency, they'll get there. But if we use contractors or we contract out this non-specialty grounds, lawn, and maintenance positions, what we're going to be facing is more money. Every time you call them for something, that could be $1,000, depending on what it is. So I think that we need to vote this down because our employees, they go beyond the call of duty and they do a lot of work for this city to make us look good and to make the city look good. And we don't have to pay them extra for every little thing they do. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any more comment or question regarding this resolution? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
1 yes, 11 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 68 fails. We are now on public comment. Your recognized point of information.
Before we move to public comments, when would be, if there was anybody on the council that voted no on the first reading, knowing we have a second reading of the budget to get through, when could they make a motion to reconsider? Because those that voted no would be considered on the winning side, and that would at least allow us to get to a second reading.
Coming to you, Mr. Bittner. If you would, please ask your question again, Mr. Bittner.
Mr. Bittner, when could an individual that voted no on the first reading of Ordinance 103, 2024, 25, because although it ended in a tie vote, that was still the winning side, when during this meeting could one of those individuals ask for that to be reconsidered if they so chose to do so, knowing we have a second reading that we have to get through when changes could be made?
The motion to reconsider could be done by the person on the prevailing side now. I believe now. If you'll give me a minute to check it, I'll look. But
Okay.
if you'll just give me a moment, let me sit down for a minute and check this out. But I believe it can be brought back now by a person on the
Prevailing side.
which would have been the side that
Voted no.
voted no. That's correct. Okay, as we thought, it can be brought the same day, which will be today, as the meeting. The motion to be reconsidered was decided, and again, it has to be made by the person. The motion has to be made by a person who voted on the prevailing side of the motion to be reconsidered. Okay.
So someone that voted no would have to do that.
Right, they'd have to make the motion to reconsider today.
Okay. And how would they go about doing that if they so chose to do that? That would be to the speaker.
Yeah, that could be for the speaker, but I guess they would just make the motion. They light up their little button there, and the mayor would call on them, and then they would make the motion. Sure. Thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you have the floor.
That concludes my questions, Mayor.
Okay. Councilman Peters, you're recognized.
I'd like to make a motion to reconsider ordinance 103, 2024, 25.
You've heard the motion. Do I hear a second? Second. Properly seconded. We are now discussing the motion to reconsider ordinance 103. This is just a motion to reconsider ordinance 103. As amended. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilman Smith, on the motion to reconsider 103 as amended.
Yeah, I have a question for him.
Mr. Bittner?
Yeah.
Mr. Bittner? You're back in the barrel, Mr. Bittner.
It's probably a simple, it's a simple question, Mr. Bittner. So since we have already voted on the budget and it's already failed, so you're saying we can reconsider this by just a simple motion to bring it back after we've already gone and voted on two resolutions. We can come back and do it at any time. There is no limited time on this.
No, the limit in the time is that it would have to be done on the same day that the original motion was heard and voted on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Not right after it. But after we done went past it is what I'm saying.
Right. If somebody that voted on the prevailing side, which I guess was no, they would bring the motion, which I believe Councilman Peters has done.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Streetman, on the motion to reconsider.
Not on the motion to reconsider. I would ask that, actually I will. Again, we have a second opportunity, you have a second bite at the apple. I would ask that you vote in favor of reconsidering this so that we can at least get through the first reading, keeping in mind that we are on a deadline for the city of Clarksville to get this budget approved. Thank you.
Councilman Marquis, on the motion to reconsider.
Yeah, it was actually a question for Mr. Bittner. Since it is a reconsideration, it takes 3/4 majority, right?
According to Robert's rules, what I'm looking at right here, the motion to reconsider requires a second, and it's not amendable, and it's a simple majority vote.
Okay. Any more comment or question on the motion to reconsider? Okay, we are now voting on the motion to reconsider ordinance 103. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
8 yes, 3 no, 1 abstain.
The motion to reconsider ordinance 103 passes. We are now on ordinance 103 as amended. Any comment or question, Councilman Streetman, on ordinance 103 as amended?
Yes, sir. I would ask again that we do have a second reading on this, and I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure why this failed. I know that every amendment that was made to it has been approved by a majority. That's the only way the amendments could have gotten through. This is all the sense of the council. I know even last week on one of the items that I voted no on the first one, but I saw what it was that the council wanted. So when it came back around as a different, an even higher amount, I went ahead and voted on that because it was obvious what the council wanted. I would ask that you support this. Again, we have another opportunity in just 2 days, as a matter of fact. But again, if you voted in favor of amendments, I don't know why we wouldn't vote in favor of this budget as it's amended. So again, I would ask for your support to get us through this first reading.
Councilman Brown on the ordinance 103 is amended.
Thank you, Mayor. So some people have voted no on this, which I was one of, because our constituents are telling us they do not want a tax increase. I did vote for some of the amendments that took away some issues that kept the tax rate at the 88 cents. I voted no on the ones that made the tax rate go up. So, that is why I voted against the ordinance 103, because it is a tax increase and our citizens are telling us that they do not want a tax increase. Thank you.
Any other comment or question? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? We're voting on ordinance 103 as amended. Did we get a motion? Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll need a motion and a second. I thought we did. And properly seconded. Now we're voting on ordinance 103. I got it backwards, as amended. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
6 yes, 7 yes, 5 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 103 passes first reading. Thank you. We're now ready for public comment. Allow three people, 5 minutes each. If you wish to address the council, please approach, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Mayor, council members, my name is Colton Young. I serve as the District Vice President of the Tennessee Professional Firefighters. And I'd like to take privilege real quick to say, Mr. Mayor, we appreciate all your service at the House of Representatives and your support for the Tennessee Professional Firefighters. I stand before you not just as a representative of an organization of labor or of the fire service, but as someone who believes in fairness, dignity, and doing what's right for the men and women who risk everything for this community. Clarksville's firefighters are not asking for an unreasonable request. They're not seeking special treatment. They're asking to be able to make a living, to provide for their families, and to keep up with the costs of living in this growing city, as y'all all talked about tonight. To continue serving with pride, knowing that their work is respected both in words and in compensation. Let me be clear, when these firefighters step forward to voice their concerns, it's not out of hatred or betrayal, because they're trained to go into fires. They're not training to come in front of a mic. It affects their spouses, their children, their ability to stay in this profession without needing a second or third job to make ends meet is what they're asking for. It is not a privilege to have a second job. It's actually sad to have a second job. But in an economy like it is today, sometimes it's unnecessary. Under no circumstances should there be retaliation or intimidation for doing so. And when I say that, I mean about speaking out. Especially when it's done respectfully and professionally. It's not betrayal, again. It's just their basic rights as a citizen and as constituents of each and every one of y'all. Mayor, council members, these are your firefighters right here. These are the people who show up on your worst day of your lives, bring calm to chaos, and they serve your families. All I ask is that you listen to them, understand them, hear them out. They're not always right, they know that, but neither are either of any of y'all. Hear them out, work your best to work the budget for them to get livable wages, because you want their tax money in this city to come back so you can do stuff. They need to be able to live here. So I appreciate the time. I appreciate your support of the firefighters. Thank y'all.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council? The purpose for which this special session of the Clarksville City Council having been accomplished, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we are adjourned.